What's up, my people? What's up, my people? This is Rastastocks, right? Rastastocks, the one and only. I have the honor and the privilege to interview Barbecue Talk Podcast. This live stream today is brought to you by Rastastocks and Management. Rastastocks and Management. All right. So, Barbecue Podcast, welcome. Welcome to Rastastocks YouTube channel. It's an honor and privilege to have you here. And just want to thank you for taking out your time to do this. And I'm looking forward to this, man. I've been looking forward to this for days now. For days.
Likewise.
Likewise, yes. And what what I gotta ask you, bro, what made you name your show Barbecue Talk Podcast?
So the basis around Barbecue Talk podcast is that every community, every culture, every ethnicity and culture has always gathered around food. So with food comes conversation. And every culture has some sort of their own variation of barbecue.
Mhm.
However you're thinking about it, especially melanated people. But at the same time, it's just a concept to be able to gather people around something that they're familiar with, which is barbecue. So the most conversations I've ever heard about, or witnessed were at barbecues,
Mhm.
or at family dinners. But dinner talk podcast just doesn't sound as appealing. And when I was growing up, my mother's house was like the barbecue hub. Like we used to barbecue all the time, and the community, co-workers, and a lot of different people would come over to the house, and there's all different types of conversations. They were real conversations, real raw. You had intellectual conversations. You would have comical conversations, just all different types of variations of conversations. And growing up, I just went to a lot of barbecues um, all my life, from
Mhm.
visiting with my dad, around my mom. If I was staying at somebody's house, they may have been throwing a barbecue. This is way before social media and all of that.
Mhm.
So a lot of people had a lot of more face to face, real world interactions. So I mean, the concept is just to gather people to be able to have healthy, positive, intellectual conversation paired with food for thought, with a tall glass of real, and just reintroducing barbecue in a new way. And honestly, coming up in the future, I am gonna be barbecuing while I'm actually having these conversations. So that was supposed to be
All
the
right,
real.
that would be very cool.
Yeah.
Just to make your audience more enticed to see what you're cooking.
Yeah.
But put a pin in that for a moment. Um, White Shadow Film says, "Big up barbecue talk podcast." You know,
Likewise, likewise.
likewise. So so
Thank
so
you for
that
having
yes, that would be very good, man. While you talking, like you and your guests barbecuing. You know what I mean? That right there, bro. That right there. Listen, who knows? Maybe I might be one of your guests and I come and barbecue with you. That's not a bad idea, bro.
me.
You
Yeah,
know.
most definitely. Yeah, I would love for that to be a thing. Like I said, that was how it was supposed to be. It was actually supposed to be. I was actually supposed to be barbecuing every segment, and I was gonna have whether I had an actual real guest or if I was just doing these live interactions.
Hmm.
However, just things weren't moving. It didn't really pan out that way. So I'm just I'm just really kind of like just focusing on building value, building the audience and the following, and
Organic audience, absolutely.
being able to do things virtually right now. But as things start picking up and I get things in order in the right way, certain things in place and they're aligning up the right way, then yeah, I'll be barbecuing on the podcast most definitely. I just want to make sure everything's nice, so when I'm barbecuing, it's first, it's real, it's authentic, but at the same time, the setup is nice. and everybody's comfortable and having a good time. So that's really about it.
That's good. That's man. Listen, that idea is good. So I'm sure you're gonna you if you have persons that don't eat meat, you're gonna have like a veggie barbecue too as well. You know what I mean? So that would be good, man. That definitely will be good. You know. So what what I could say, like I came up on your show a couple times, and I mean, and we spoke to some very intelligent, like-minded individuals, and I get the concept of having a barbecue because, in a sense, this talk we're having is like we're having a barbecue in a sense, you know.
Facts.
So, and the other night I was on your show, and I got a phone call. I had to answer that phone call because it was important. But
Yeah.
like you're talking about the digital age, man, and
Mm,
I must say, like the digital age is not going nowhere. It's here and it's here to stay. Whether it's in virtual reality, you know what I mean? What we're doing right now is digital in a sense,
yeah.
and cryptocurrency. Slowly but surely, man. Slowly but surely, the digital age is going to evolve even more and more and more and more. And I just wanna pick your brain a little bit, right?
Yeah. That's fine.
What are some of the things that you like about the digital age? What are some of the things that you don't like about the digital age?
That's a good question. So, with the digital age, I'll start with the dislikes. I dislike the negativity. I dislike a lot of the toxic ways of the digital age, such as like scammers,
Absolutely.
fake news, fake information, things of that nature. I dislike that because it can ruin people's lives. The people's mental health are being affected and ruined. People internally are being hurt and ruined, scarred, and things of that nature. So, and I take that very important. I take that very seriously because people's mental health are important, and people say a lot of things and do a lot of things because they don't have to necessarily feel the consequences. And a lot of times, some people get thrown into things without actually without actually having to be involved, and it can ruin their life. You know what I mean? And there was something that I was watching not too long ago that it was based around somebody's death in California at this hotel,
Hmm.
and this guy had made these videos or whatever, but it was way before that even happened. But everybody just kind of like uh, started making these theories, like trying to piece things together or whatever the case may be, and it affected him. And he was a musician, and he was like a heavy metal musician.
Hmm.
So the way he does things, he was like, I've always done it that way. It was never a problem. He was like, at first it was cool because I liked that I was getting so much attention and the spotlight was on me for a moment. You know what I mean? He was like, I was waiting for like my big break, but he was like, but then it was a lot of negative that came with it, and he had a lot of issues. And he has issues to this day. That he was affected by that situation because he was like he was getting death threats and a lot of things. He was scared for his life. He was always looking over his shoulders. He was like it was just a bad time in his life, and he was like I'll never be the same. So that's the part of the internet that I don't like, the digital age.
Right.
The part that I love about the digital age is that now you get to connect with people from all across the world. You get to
Absolutely.
reconnect with family, friends. Um, you get to like people that are creatives or entrepreneurs. They're actually able to start their businesses at a higher rate than ever before. And you can start a business now with $0. At one point in time, you know what I mean, you would have to have actually had like funds to do a lot of things that we do now, but you
True,
don't.
true,
Like
true.
at one point in time, you would have had to have a studio to do your to like you'd have to have a radio station and and have certain things in order to do this what we're doing, like a podcast or
Yeah,
whatever the case may be. We would have had to been in real life. We couldn't do it virtually right now. So I mean the opportunities are endless. like, and now you're able to take create your own opportunities. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And you can figure out like the paperwork and everything later. So I love that about that. And every day there's a new opportunity. It seems as if there's a new opportunity. And this is just a great time to be alive. So the positives are really there. You just have to look for them, and you can affect somebody's life in a positive way. You can help somebody in their life, with kind words. There are people that they're it's they didn't go to school to do certain things that they did, but they're doing it and they're really helping and affecting people and changing people's lives every day. There are people that came out of jail, like Digital. Shout out to Digital.
Mhm.
And Antoine Digital is somebody I don't even know in person. I've never met this man a day in my life. He doesn't even really know me, but at the same time, he learned coding um, while he was um, while he was incarcerated, or after he got done being incarcerated, right?
Mhm.
And then when he came out, he was able to start teaching people how to code, and he had free coding classes for adults and kids.
True.
And he was just like, I want everybody to know this because we're going to be in this age where you're going to need to know how to code, or it's going to be valuable to know how to code. So I mean, I love it,
Absolutely.
man. I love it because now it's like doors are wide open. It's just you have to choose the door that's right for you,
Listen,
or you're able to unlock doors easier.
look at this, right? I feel like the digital age is a game changer, right?
True,
Um, some people are for it, some people are against it, some people are afraid of it because they don't understand it, right? Because they're used to the simple old basic ways. We're a time we're in a time where things is evolving, is changing, right? And I remember one time I had this conversation with my dad because he moved back home. I said, "You have this house back home, right? Why won't you Airbnb it?" Oh, I used to do Airbnb, but with Airbnb, you have to do this, you have to do that, this and that and the third. I'm gonna say, hey, that comes with the pros and cons, right? Airbnb is the hotel's biggest competition right now, you know.
true,
So you got to, if you want to make some passive income, some money, that's the best thing you got to do. But they're stuck in their old ways, so they don't want to evolve and adapt. And I said to him, is if you don't learn how to evolve and adapt, you get left behind. You know, you get left behind. Like those who like for instance, right? Those who said Elon Musk idea for a car was crazy, it's not gonna work. And those who turned it down, and those who decided to get involved and invested it, right? They're great. And those who didn't decide to say, hey, if only I knew back then what it would be now, you know. But people are afraid to take the chance. They're afraid to take that risk because it's like they're stuck to what they're used to. But when they're introduced to something new that they don't know about, they get afraid. And I notice it time and time and time and time and time again. You know, especially with this with Bitcoin, right? Friend of mine was telling me, hey, when Bitcoin was $10, man, you should buy some Bitcoin. I didn't know what it was at the time. Now I knew what it was at the time. I wish I put $200 in Bitcoin when Bitcoin was $10 back then. But now you know. But listen, there's a few crypto plays I'm in, and like I said, I know I'm not expecting to have no crazy return at this moment, not right now, but in due time, because I know I've put in some money into digital assets. Like when I said digital assets, digital currency. Now I'm looking to see if I could get into some NFTs. I don't know much about NFTs, but I'm learning day by day, right? And I say, let's just say if you created a barbecue podcast for NFT, right? And you're selling one for like maybe $5, $10, and maybe like the next year and a half or year down the line, that $5, $10 would have triple astronomically. You know what I
true.
mean? So, like I said, what people what people don't understand, they are afraid of. But if you were to talk about, if we me and you were to go on our lives, you know what I mean, and talk about nonsense and stupidity and argue and bicker with one another, right? You'd be surprised. You'd probably be like maybe like over 100 to 100 to 200 people tuning in and watching me and you going with each other, right?
Yeah, true.
But if it's stuff to educate themselves and learn about, they don't want to show no interest in it because it's a waste of time for them. You know, it's a
I,
it's a,
I
huh?
don't think that people feel it's a waste of time. I'm gonna be very honest, and
Mm,
I think it's always been a thing.
mm,
That when certain people are intelligent, or if you're speaking in an intelligent manner, and another person feels as if they're not able to do the same thing, or they're not able to be heard, and some people just get jealous and envious, and they don't actually admit to it. So a lot of
mhm,
people get jealous and envious, and they go, "Oh, I don't want to hear that," because they're not the ones that are benefiting from it. And nowadays, everybody feels as if somebody's scamming somebody. Like,
mhm.
I know what forex is, and I remember I was talking about forex to somebody. And welcome in, everybody. I want to thank you all for existing, adding value to the world as well as live on the podcast. If you can, go to YouTube, Rastastocks live stream interview, or just follow and like. That's what we're doing right now with Rastastocks live stream interview,
Yeah.
featuring myself, the host from Barbecue Talk Podcast. But somebody, I was talking about forex, and somebody was like, "That's a scam. It's just a scam to take your money." I said, "No, it's not." I said, I said forex is the exchange between foreign currency. I said, and it's foreign currency if it's not your currency. So if you're gonna do the U.S. to JPY, or the U.S. Um, to like euro, euro to US, or
Mhm.
US to USD to euro, or things like that nature. I'm like, you can make money. It's just about knowing how to leverage your money, knowing how much to put in, when to put it in. Are you going to be bearish? Are you going to be bullish? Are you buying? Or are you selling? Pretty much, you know what I mean? And when to buy and sell. You got to know when to buy and sell. But it's just like anything in the world. You just got to know how. And that's where I've changed my mind. But I never really thought anything. I never was like a big like person where like, oh, that's a scam. That's a scam. I just understood that if I don't understand it, but if I want to understand it, I need to educate myself. And if I'm not willing to educate myself, then I can't really speak on that. And I have to admit to myself that I'm not willing to speak on it. I can't, well, I'm not willing to learn it, so I can't speak on it. I can't speak bad about it. I can't demonize it.
Mhm.
And I can speak good about it, but why would I speak good about it when I really don't have too much of thought? I just say, hey, good for people that are able to make it in the stocks industry. You know what I mean? A long time ago, before the digital age became like really big, um, I knew about stocks. I knew that you could get stocks. I always thought that you had to be rich to get stocks, because the only people that I seen talking about stocks, investing in stocks, getting returns in stocks were rich people, celebrities and things of that nature. So I just felt like that was a rich person's game. You have to have a lot of money. But I found out that wasn't true later on. And cool. So you know what I mean? I learned as I go. So I mean, everybody just has their perception on everything. You know what I mean? Like when you said somebody told you to get in on Bitcoin, but you didn't know about it. It was
Mhm.
it was smart at that time for you not to get into it, because you didn't know, because you very well could have put money in it, and you could have very well lost money.
True. True.
And it depends on when you learn about these plays. And if you want to risk something, there's a thing between a blind risk and a educated risk.
Exactly.
And an educated risk means that, okay, let me understand it, let me learn the basics, and then if it seems as something that I want to do, then I'll do it. And if not, then not. And it's something that are you able to do it in that moment in time? When you have rent and you have bills, you have a family, you can't make the same risk as a person who's single and that lives at home with his parents. You know what I mean? Or a teenager that lives at home with his parents.
Mhm.
But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, I'm gonna be very honest with you. In the melanated community, we demonize things like that because
Of
Timothy
course.
Sykes, which is like one of the best at what he does in trading, he had bar mitzvah money that he learned all he needed to learn about investing, and then after that, he put that bar mitzvah money up and got into it. And now that man's like one of the richest people in the world, and
Exactly.
and people don't even talk
Exactly.
about
Exactly. Listen, I remember when Forex just coming out, right? Yes, I didn't understand it. You feel me? Because as a teenager, I just wanted to, yeah, party, spend my money, go to the clubs, show off for girls and all this type of nonsense, right? And listen, a friend of mine in England, right, send me about 20 pounds on Cash App. And when he sent me the 20 pounds in Cash App, I think because when people from England send you money, it's more money overseas. I'm
it.
just like, "Yo, you just send me more." I can't remember off the top of my head how much money it is right now, but I'm saying to myself, yo, if a person in England was to send me maybe like £100, maybe that's like an extra $10 I'm gonna get on that £100 or more. So like basically 4x. You basically trade in currencies of different nations, right? And
Hmm.
like England and America is allies. When England, let's just say you are in England and you're supposed to send me money, right? It'll be more money. If I'm in America and I'm supposed to send you more, it'll be less. So pros and cons, right? Pros and cons, especially when it comes to forex trading, right? When I was 18 again, I used to work at Walmart. A friend of mine said, "Yo, I just invested $1,000 into Apple." And Apple at the time, I think he said Apple was maybe like $80 or $90 a share. I did not listen to him. And this was in 20.
Was it that you didn't listen, or was it
No,
that
no,
you
no,
weren't
I'm
educated?
gonna get to that point. I did not listen. I did not listen to him. Right. I
Hmm.
think this was in 2012, and at the time, I didn't understand it either. I didn't understand it. Listen, if I were supposed to put in $1,000 back then into Apple compared to now, I would be a millionaire right now. I'll be somewhere close to a millionaire, bro, because I'm like, he was telling me when it was cheap, dirt cheap, bro, dirt cheap,
Yeah.
but I didn't listen because I didn't understand it, right? But as I got older in age, the knowledge I know now, I wish I could go back in time and talk to my younger self. But at the same time, listen, you're never too old to learn anything, and it's not too late when it comes to certain things. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, if somebody told you to do something, but they weren't willing to say, "Hey, I'm gonna teach you," and so you
Mhm.
can get
And
in.
that's the thing. He
They,
never person teach me. He said, "Hey, just put $1,000 in there and forget about it." I'm like, $1,000 in what? You know?
exactly. So again, if and that and I don't was that a person of color?
Yes.
Okay, so that's another thing that's missing in our community, and I'm very big on talking about the melanated community because this has been something that I've talked about since I was young. And these were conversations that me and my family and people I was around, we would have talks about, or I would just observe and listen. I wasn't always the one vocalizing myself. I was doing a lot more listening than talking. And one thing that I realized is that in our community, we don't set each other up for plays. So you can't tell somebody like put some money in Apple and then just walk away because you understand it. Not everybody else understands it, and we don't come from that. We don't come from that cloth. Like when I'm talking about, like I've been around a lot of Caucasians, and I'm gonna be very honest. I've heard certain things like that. And you need to do this, you need to do that, and they go, "What is that? I don't know what it is. What are you talking about?" But then they go, "Hey," and then they'll either start talking about it right then and there at their barbecue, because they have barbecues too,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they'll go,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, hey, you got to do this, you got to do this." ABC 1 2 3, and then hey, I got more books that I can teach you. I can show you. I got this information. Matter of fact, you know what I mean. Go ahead and go ahead and call me or come over sometime and we'll talk more
I
about it.
agree
That
with
was an
you, my
important
brother.
point
I
that
agree with you.
they don't let you yeah, they don't let me teach you. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, they don't want to. And you know, but I've seen the way that it was done differently in different cultures. So it's like, you know, and what it is it's a fear, right? It's a
Almost.
competition. It's pride. It's a thing of that. I don't want you to be better than me because what if I teach you? But then it's also this thing that well, I didn't have anybody to teach me, but there's other culture sets that will sit down and make time to go out their way to make sure that somebody that they recognize that's a part of them and that's connected with them. Hey, I want to see you succeed because we live in abundance. We live in a world where everything is limitless.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, there's nobody out here that can make all the money in the world and just take it and keep it all for themselves, and nobody else is gonna get none. And my thing about it is that everybody has the right to eat. Everybody has the right to feed their family, themselves, take care of things, and we're never gonna be able to build wealth. And I'm speaking about here in America
Mm-hmm.
because I can speak for melanated beings in America. And then there are those that come from outside of America that I'll tell people like, you see how they're moving? They're moving in a certain way. That's how we have to move the same way. And they look at you and they go, that's not realistic. I'm like, it's not realistic because you don't want it to be realistic, but it's realistic for you to go out and have and start a fight. It's realistic for you to shoot somebody to sell drugs in your community. That's where the
Mm-hmm.
fear comes. Worst,
Cash money.
they have let me invest in for you, but no guarantee you get back anything. But it's the education. We miss out on educating people and making sure that they understand that hey, I want you to invest this $1,000 in Apple, but I'm gonna show you how to invest it, and so you can get that return. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a guarantee, but at the same time, it was somebody that studied the market,
Exactly.
and then we demonize each other. So I'm gonna be very honest. I know a lot of other people that I've worked for somebody that was a CEO of a major company, the owner and CEO of the company, not just the CEO by title. They were the owning, operating CEO. They 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 quit their job. They went back home with their mom, and they were married. Quit their job, went back home, left their mom, and they came to their mom and dad, and they said, "Hey, listen, we're gonna stay with you because I have this business plan and I have this business idea, and it's gonna be big. I know it is." And him and his partner both started working, and they're both married at this time. And they said they're both went back home, lived with their parents, and they were like, we were like 28, 29 years old, almost 30 years old, going to live back home with our mom and dad. And everybody was like, you know, he's like, but we didn't worry about any of that. But they didn't have any, they didn't have those worries and thoughts because, and they had the support of their mother and father because they want to see you succeed. I want to see somebody succeed. And our culture set with us, it's not about I want to see you succeed. It's that it's the thing of that I got it out the mud. I went through. You will be okay. So
Yes.
you're never gonna break the cycle because and you can't break the cycle. And we don't break the cycles within each other. So if I have a play and I'm not willing to sit down and give my time
Mm.
to help you understand and learn, I'm doing a disservice to you. And I'm gonna be very honest. We're the very first people to once we know something, especially nowadays. Now I want to slap a price ticket on it. I want to slap a
Exactly.
price tag on it,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
it's a
Right.
high price.
Exactly. Right. When I didn't know about the stock market at all, right? Oh, if you pay me this amount of money a month, you know what I mean, I could do this for you, that for you. I'm like, pay you. How much you're talking about? Oh, pay me like 120 a month. I said 120 a month for you to teach me about stocks. So you know what I did? To this phone I have, I just went to Google, type in Google, went on YouTube, watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos on investing and trading and whatever. And I started with $200, $200. And after time and time, when I noticed some dips, I put in more money, right? I put like 120 into Delta, and I put $100 in the Carnival Cruise Line. I made four out of that $100, right? I made $400 on top of that on Carnival Cruise Line, and I made $500 on Delta Airlines. Sold both of them, and I saw the opportunity where I could only afford to buy one share of Tesla, and I bought that one share of Tesla. And from then, Tesla has been the number one thing that's making me some gains from 2 years ago up until now, although it has its peaks and valleys. And I had people are surrounded by me that are smarter than me, that understand this market business more than me, right? Giving me some free advice, and I took it, went with it, and I rode, and I went on the road with it, and I just absorb it, right? So
Mhm.
sometimes people of our ethnicity, as you say, right? They like to pay for something because they know people of our ethnicity don't know what it's about, and they say, "Oh, let's charge them, so they could pay us." You know what I mean? So they just basically they just want to capitalize. They just basically want to capitalize. You know, they want to
Yeah,
capitalize on everything, and I'm just saying to myself, you want to capitalize so much, but you don't want to see your fellow brothers and sisters, right? Learn. And a friend of mine, right? Friend of mine said to him, right? Because he's half black and half white. His dad made sure that he learned certain things, right? He learned certain things and set him up for certain things. So as you get older up in our age, he wouldn't have to worry and struggle too much. He said, "Yeah, man. By the time I was like 18, I had enough money to go to college. You know, I could have had the most expensive cars, the most expensive this, but I didn't. I took that money." He said, "Instead of going to college, I took that money and I went and started a business." And my dad, and he said to me, "Man, my dad said that's the smartest thing that you ever did. You working for yourself, you're making your own money. You're not in a whole bunch of debt, right?" And it's funny. It's funny, bro, because in our community, right, our parents instilling us, go to college. Make sure you go to college. Make sure you get this degree, but make sure you apply for the financial aid. You're getting so much debt, and by the time you go to college, you get all this degree, right? And when you go out there to get the job for where you qualified for, you can't get the job in what you qualified in, right? You can't, but you're drowning in this debt. I have a friend is over 100,000 in student loan debt. Over 100,000 in student loan debt,
sure.
right? Over 100,000. I said, "Have you been deferring your debts, your student loans?" I said, "You have not been deferring your student loans debt." He's like, "No, I didn't know about that." I'm like, "What?" I said, "Did you start making any payments towards this?" He's like, no, no. What is that?" I'm like, "What? Oh my God."
Sure. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, the one thing I will say is that at one point in time, going to get a college degree was the smartest thing to do because we weren't in the technology age.
absolutely.
Uh, but for
Absolutely.
a lot of people in America, um, and I've had generations on generations. So I've had people in America that they had ancestors that were slaves,
Yeah.
and then I have those that remember that. Okay, I remember when it was white only, black only. I remember when no matter how educated you were, it was still 10 times harder for a person of color to go out and get a job,
Yeah.
even if they had the skill set, even if they had the education. So at one point in time, you know what I mean. And in America, the education system was built for one group of people at one point in time, and that was because for a lot of different reasons. So I mean, the college mindset, what it's not a bad concept, and I'm gonna be very honest. I didn't want to go to college, but then at the end, when I got when I finally graduated high school, I made the decision to go to college, and I'm gonna be very honest. It was one of the best things I've ever did in my life. Not because college gave me this like this high amount of value. It was because the experience and everything that I learned, that it wasn't about the classes that I learned from. It was my professors. It was being around people that were taking their education seriously. It was seeing how to study better, how to read better, how to learn better. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, it was great. It was an amazing experience. And I actually dropped out of college. I got my associate's degree, but before I got my bachelor's degree, I dropped out. I always told myself I can always go back to college. But I wanted to be an entrepreneur also. So I mean, for parents that didn't grow up in the digital age, or didn't grow up in it, and they didn't, for them, they don't understand it, and they're not expected to understand it, because they grew up where you got up and you worked hard every day. My dad to this day still works sometimes 16-hour days, and he feels as if that's an accomplishment. I don't feel the same way. However, at the same time, that's all he knows. So how am I gonna? You can't stop somebody that for 50 years they've been working, and then now all of a sudden the digital age come, and then their kid is like, "Well, Dad, you can get in this, you can do it in that." I'm not doing that, because that's not what I'm used to. They don't know, and they're more intelligent than we give them, than we even like. But what it is that a lot of times they demonize us, because they're like, you're trying to do things that they don't feel as if are realistic. But
Exactly.
nowadays everything is realistic. Anything can be realistic. You just have to be able to put in the work. You have to be able to be willing to put in the time. The same time that you would go to college, you could put in that same time to go get whatever books that you're interested in and know how. The problem is, in this day and age, is that there are a lot of, because I talk to a lot of people, and I ran into a young person that told me that I want to do what I want to do. And I said, okay, that's fine. You can do what you want to do. He said, yeah, but I want to write comics and things of that nature. And I asked him, I said, you want to write comics, right? I said, how much time are you putting in to learning how to write comics, how to write comic books? Are you learning the industry? Are you going to events and talking to other people that make comic books? Are you and they weren't. They were spending their money on a certain substance and things that they enjoy, but you're not investing in
In other
yourself.
words, you're spending the money on vices.
So you're not, yeah, you're spending money on the new iPhone. You're spending money on marijuana, cannabis. You're spending money to go out to eat and things of that nature. And a lot of people don't understand sacrifice. Like when I went to college, I sacrificed. But when I was in college, I understood that you had to sacrifice. I was doing music. I was going to college. I was going to work. I wasn't going out to clubs. If I was going out to a club in college, it was because I was promoting for my music. If I or I was the one throwing the party to make money, to invest in myself, to music. So you got to take that same concept, and I've taken that same concept and I've applied it to everything in my life. So nowadays, if I'm doing something to make money, I'm investing into my podcast. I'm investing to get into real estate school, which I did. You know what I mean? I took my first check from my marketing business that I had not too long ago, and I invested my first check, the whole first check. I invested it into real estate, to real estate
Mhm.
school, and then I took some more money at one point in time and invested it in learning podcasts from David Shands from the Lot Your Podcast Challenge,
Mm.
in which I knew a lot of the information. I had a lot of things already set up, but I just wasn't moving. What it forced me to do was, if it forced me, when I invested that $200, which was an amazing investment, was get a date, get certain other equipment that I was like, okay, I wasn't thinking about that. And then and then it gave me gems and a lot of things to go by, like, you know what I do now. So I wasn't about to go live.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't gonna show my face. It was gonna be all verbal. David Shan said, "Don't do that. Go live. Show your face." What are you scared of? And I'm not scared to show my face. I was just like, I wasn't thinking about it like that. But
True.
we a lot of times don't want to invest. A lot of times we don't want to invest in other people. Like I don't think, yeah, work smarter. Like V just said in the live, work
Yeah.
smarter, not harder. And we don't believe in that. But nowadays it's a possibility to work smarter, not harder. So now parents or the older generation is looking like you're lazy. You want everything handed to you. You want it the fast way. No, I want to work smarter, not
Not
harder.
harder.
And the reason why is because I was also told something. The person that works the hardest dies the earliest. You know
Repeat
what I
that,
mean?
please. Please repeat that.
So the person that works the hardest dies the earliest. Nobody's ever gotten rich off of working harder. They've gotten rich and they've obtained wealth by working smarter. Warren Buffett doesn't work hard. He does work hard, but he works smart. And he even stated, and I took his advice. If you're not willing, if you don't know something and you're not willing to educate yourself on something, don't get into it. Only get into things that you're willing to educate yourself on and that you are willing to understand, to know. And once you understand it and once you know it, once you understand it and once you know it, then you can make the right move. And minimizing everything is key. Living minimally and accepting, like it's all a part of that. So, I mean, I mean, there's a lot of things that we have to fix in our communities as well.
Absolutely.
We can unify a little bit more. We don't always have to be in competition with each other. We can partner up with each other. But when it comes when money starts getting involved,
Yeah,
it,
that's
it's
how them
it
start.
starts getting complicated, right? Yeah, you know what I mean. It starts getting complicated, and you have to be willing to educate. You have to be willing to accept education. You have to be willing to learn, and some people have to be willing to teach their people. Like I'm in the process. I'm about to learn NFTs for sure. Like
Me
I'm
too.
definitely about to
Me
start
too.
learning NFTs. But as I'm learning NFTs, I'm gonna be giving people plays on how to do the NFTs. But NFTs aren't for everybody.
No, it's not.
Forex isn't for everybody.
No, it's not. Stock market is not for everybody. You hear me?
Exactly, because it's a risk.
Some people use so hey, I'm gonna keep the money in the bank because the money is safe. It's safe. You know, you get interest. Listen. Let me tell you this: the bank uses your money. It's when inflation hits your money loses value. Inflation hits money. I went to the supermarket the other day to buy three things with my credit card. Right, one of the items cost $5.50. Right,
Mm.
when I went 2 days ago, it went up by $1. And I tell people, oh, inflation this, inflation that. Like, if inflation already started already, but y'all not noticing it yet. It started already. The main places where inflation starts, supermarket, where you go to buy your food. Pretty soon, when you go to buy your coffee, your Dunkin' Donuts, whatever, prices are slowly going to go up because of inflation. Inflation is a thing that slowly creeps up, right? It slowly creeps up, and people don't understand that. Yes, banks are users, the biggest users, and they'll show that your money is there, right? But they use your money to invest into other properties. But yes, when you want to withdraw your money, you get your money. You feel me? But they use your money, right? And when you want to borrow money from them, they charge your interest on top of your money. So, like, I tell people this, right? If I had $10,000,
Uh-huh.
I'll put it all in the stock market. Oh, why would you do that? Put it in the bank. It's more safe. I said, that's your problem right there. It's more safer. With that $10,000, I divide it into some stocks that I know that's gonna do so well. Some stocks I know that's gonna pay me dividends. I'm gonna put it and divide it into some ETFs like S&P 500, QQQ, VTI, Arc Innovation. This new Meta ETF. Just to name a few.
Uh-huh.
Because yes, yes, when the stock market crash, all right, yes, you lose money, but I diversified my portfolio. right? So when I diversify my portfolio, I might not lose much, but I know over time I'll get it back and then some, right? When inflation hits and you have $10,000 in your bank account, that get chopped in half. Like people don't understand that, people do not understand that.
Well, yeah. Something that I realized though, and I'm very understanding on, is that a lot of people don't like risk. Not everybody risk, like taste for risk is the same. So a lot of people, they know with the bank, and I'm gonna be very honest. They know that with the bank, they put their money in the bank. It's there. It collects a little bit of interest, but they also know if the bank loses their money, they have to get their money back. You put your money in the stock market and you lose everything. The stock market, it doesn't, and they will not give you anything back. So it's
Trust me, I
kind of
know
like a
that.
catch-22. You know what I mean?
Trust
So
me, I know
so
that.
so because people know that, they go. Some people just want to stay safe in life, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Um, hey, some people love security. That's why
You,
there's a
you,
lot of people that go to work 16-hour days for
you know, you
50
know, the, you
years
know the
because
best, the
they know
best
that they're gonna have their
security.
job.
The best security you could always make money on, always real
Hmm.
estate. Real estate.
Real estate, yeah, but you have to, and again, that's not everybody's strongest suit either. And at one point in time, nowadays, we're benefiting off of a lot of people's sacrifice from in the past. You know what I mean? Like when I was getting into real estate, there was a movie that came out with Anthony. I think it was Anthony Mackie. I think his name is no. Okay, scratch that. Don't judge me. But it's a movie with Samuel L. Jackson. I know Samuel L. Jackson is in it though. But it's
Yes.
also the gentleman that played he played in Avengers.
Which one is
He's
that?
about to be the new Captain America.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know what you're talking about. The Winter
yeah,
Soldier guy.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
him. But what happened is that they made that movie and it was about a real person. And they were finessing, like he was very intelligent in real estate and things of that nature, right? But he couldn't make certain moves and certain plays because of the color of his skin.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in the West. He wasn't in the South, right? So this is a big part of everywhere in America. So nowadays, we can say, get into real estate, do this and do that, because now we're able to do that. At one point in time, and this is just 20, 30 years ago. 20, 30 years ago, a person of color getting in real estate was hard because you didn't have a big market for it. And I'm gonna be very honest, a lot of people want to buy things from people that they recognize with, right? And we're
True.
still, even to this day, at competition with each other. Um, so I mean, and if we're really being realistic about it, the older generation is not being understanding, and a lot of times we're not being understanding. But I always start from a very understanding place. I go, okay, in your generation, this wasn't a thing. Now this is a thing. So how are we gonna capitalize on it? How are we gonna capitalize on it? I asked my father when I started the podcast because I was talking to him about it. Me and my father don't really talk too much about things, but I went to him because my father was a radio host at one point in time in his life. He worked for a radio station. He was the host of the radio. He flipped the records. He was talking. He did all that, right? And I told him, I said, imagine if you were able to put some money into that radio business, but you weren't only the host, you were the owning operator of the radio as well as the host. I said, would you have still been doing it to this day? He said, probably so. I said, that's all I'm doing with the podcast. I said, that's what a podcast is, because he didn't know what a podcast was. So when I gave him an analogy and a perspective that he could understand, you know what I mean? Now he's like, he goes to the website and he listens and he's like, I understand what you were talking about now. And because I know he's actually been in that arena of being a radio host, he can give me a constructive criticism or raw truth that you need to do better on this, you need to do better on that, and this and that. Because my whole thing in my whole life is that I want to live in purpose and I want to do something that I love. And for a long period of time in my life, I wasn't doing things that I didn't love to do. But at the same time, our parents weren't cut from the cloth. And I'm gonna be very honest, the older generation, even it happens today, people make decisions, impulsive decisions out of lust, and they have
Repeat
kids,
that, please. Repeat
they
that, please.
a lot of
Please.
people make impulse decisions out of lust. Not only out of lust, but I mean that's a big factor. So what happens is you have a kid with somebody, and now you're a parent, and now you're 17, 18, 19 years old. As that was the reality for my mom. She was a young parent. She was 17, 18 years old when she had me. And now now you have another life. You don't have time to think about only you. You don't have time to think about, I want to be an owner and take all of these risks. You can, but you also, your main goal as a parent is to make sure my child grows up better than I did, or my child grows up in a state of comfort. I don't want them, you know what I mean? We've heard about people that came from living in the projects, living in the hood, or came from living, lower class, and now they're on top of the world. However, at the same time, you can still be on top of the world and be raised in a good manner. There are many families that do it. It's just that we have a disconnect.
And
That's why
also,
I
and
like
also,
Master P.
you could be on top of the world and drop on rock bottom
True.
as well.
Appreciate you, V and Aries, for tuning in and listening. I know I'm not able to engage as much as I am usually, but yeah, no, I appreciate you. This is something that I truly advocate for my whole life, is that there's no need for competition. We can all work together. We can all build. Like last night, I was supposed to do an exclusive, like, special highlighted guest interview. The person didn't show up because of my life experience. At one point, I would have probably got upset. I got upset. I would have ended the live. I'd have been like, the segment was ruined and things of that nature. However, at the same time, I came from an understanding place. Maybe they had something going on. I don't know what the case may be. All right, cool. It is what it is. Let me shift and let me adjust now. And I was going to go into how to make the ways to make digital currency in a digital age. And then it switched to real talk because somebody that came up had really something to say, on their mind and their heart and their soul. And they were like, so we just started having real talk. But then we had the Grown Man Logic podcast came in, which was my guy Dewan, which shout out to him and his podcast. And he just started going in, and he had all these, like, he way more intelligent and smarter than I am. Mm-hmm. He was coming out with like so many gems and life experience. He's a little older than me, and that doesn't really play a part of it, that just because he's older. But at the same time, I also know that, he's also in a different place in his life. Very intelligent man. And he was telling me about his podcast. He was telling everybody about his podcast. And I was like, man, that's what's up. I was like, I'm going to tune into your podcast because it's a positive podcast. You know what I mean? And we were just having a real candid, good conversation. And then we had, Alonzo come on. We had King Eye Music come on. Shout out to King Eye Music. And the funny thing about it is that King Eye Music and Dewan, they knew each other. King Eye Music knew Dewan when he was 15. And he was telling me, he said, thank you. And I was like, thank you. I was like, you're welcome. My pleasure. I didn't know how to respond to it. But he explained, he said, that man helped me find my voice when I was a teenager. And I was like, and it was so powerful. It was so crazy because he was like, he told me to stop trying to be like everybody else, be like you. He was like, and ever since then, that's all I've been doing. So my man has a book out. He has a second book about to come out. He's in the military. It's just amazing. So, I mean, being in this space is amazing. Being in this time, being alive in this time is amazing. You just have to be around like-minded people. But at the same time, I'm going to be very honest with you. Just like negativity is contagious, positivity is just as contagious. You just have to really want to receive it. And you have to know how to give it. Like I told somebody when I started the Barbecue Talk podcast tours, even though I'm vegan, right? If I have to gain somebody's trust by biting into a piece of chicken, I bite into that piece of chicken to gain somebody's trust, to let them know that I'm not better than you. And I don't want you to feel as if I'm coming off better than you. But it's about sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice? But I mean, that's just me. I'm an advocate for my people, but I also know that I don't have to go run for local office to do something for my people, to
Speaking
add value to my people.
speaking of advocate for people, there's something I'm gonna go get and show you right now. One
Yeah, go
second.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Welcome everybody. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. I want to thank you all for existing, adding value to the world as well as the live and the podcast. Right now, it's a live stream interview with me, Rastastocks, and on his channel. But I appreciate everybody coming in, tuning in. Definitely go follow Rastastocks YouTube channel and all of his social media platforms. And we're just connecting and building and just having a good conversation. I love
See
having
this
conversations.
right here?
Mhm.
See this right here? This is a soap,
So, right?
right? This is a natural soap, right? And the name of the soap is carrot and tomato soap. Feel me? Black and proud. Black and proud. And this is a friend of mine that's in Jamaica.
Yeah, yeah. He was on the show.
He was on the, yes,
Him and his wife.
he was on the show. You see this, bro? I tried it. I got a neem soap, garlic soap, and tomato soap. This is the one I'm gonna try next, right? And I must say, see this right here? This smells very good. The garlic soap smells very good. It's good for your skin.
Mm.
What I have to say is, listen, when you for those who are watching right now on my YouTube channel and barbecue podcasts, you in Instagram, I want you guys to take out your phone, go and Black and Proud, and when you get a chance, check out what he has, and if you're interested, send them a direct message because this is good, man. This is good. I'm glad. You hit that topic, right? Because I just had to share this with everybody. I have to share this with every man and everybody, and this is good.
True, true, true,
This is
true,
very good.
true. And that's why I said making sure that you're able to educate people to feed their pockets. Because I'm gonna be very honest. I'm gonna be very honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
In our community, in our culture, and now how the world is moving, you'll be laughed at for not having money or not
Oh
being
yeah. Oh
able
yeah.
to have
Oh yeah.
money to
And
be
you
able to
and you be
spend.
laughed at for trying to make money too.
You'll be
So
laughed at for trying to make money. You're 100% correct. So my thing is about, if you want your people to support you, make sure that they have the funds. So if you know something is going to help them feed their pockets, be willing to give them that. Because, and then after that, hey, listen, after that, now it's up to them to do what they need to do for their currency and circulate that dollar around. Like the
exactly.
Caribbean community, like people from the islands. I noticed that a lot of Haitians, people from Trinidad, Jamaica, and all of that, they all have a sense of unity, understanding of that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But a lot of people in America, they don't have that understanding of that. But it's been lost. But it's been lost because of years
Division.
of trauma.
Years of trauma.
It's
Years of
very scary.
division. Years of competing with one another, man. It goes back decades, bro. Decades, bro. And we the new generation, no matter what our skin color is, we have to be the change. We have to willing to make the change, because if we're not willing to make the change, then we're just gonna be end up just like them. You get me?
Mm, okay.
Just like them. And it's to the point, like it's to the point where I'm like, yo, do I wanna end up like my parents, right? Work hard my whole life, or make something, or take some of this money, invest it into something where I know it's over a couple of years or so, it's gonna make me money. Not as much as I want, but it's slowly gonna guarantee me to bring money in for me. Am I gonna be afraid? Am I going to say, hey, if I do this, it's not gonna work because this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen. You see that negative thought that you have,
Hmm.
negative thought that you have. it's a problem. You got to root it out and throw it away and say, hey, it's gonna work. Nothing is gonna happen. It's gonna work. I'm gonna push. I'm gonna fight. I want to make sure that this thing works, because
True.
at the end of the day, I want it needs to work. It has to work, and I want it to work. But
True. I agree.
people are afraid. People are afraid. A friend of mine, me and her used to work at the same job. I'm still at the job now, right? And I said to her, I said, yo, I wanted to start a YouTube channel, right? She said, start it. Just start it. Just start it. Because she quit her job, right? And she makes her own clothes and her own jewelry, and she traveled all over America, sell her stuff. That's because she said that's what she wanted to do. She wanted to be her own boss on her own time, right? And she traveled, traveling. She traveled every time you travel. Did you start a YouTube channel yet? You start a YouTube channel yet? Did you start? 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 I said, no, no, no. When are you gonna start? 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 And I started it. First, I started talking about stocks, and then I kind of drift away from it a little bit, and I started to do interviews because I feel like when you interview people, they learn something from you, you learn something from them, right? So I said, you know what? Let me just start. Let me just continue to doing this, right? And it's so funny how I came across your podcast on Instagram. White Shadow Films, sent it to me one night, and he
Yeah.
messaged me, "Hey, listen to this person." And every time, every so often, you go live. I listen. I'm like, you know what? Instead of me listening, let me come up on the live, so it's like you need people in your life that surround you to consistently give you that push. Did you start yet? What are you waiting on? Did you start yet? Did you start yet? You know what I mean?
True. No,
And
no, that's 100%, man. I love to hear that story. The reason why I love to hear that story is because um that's amazing that person did that for you, that she did that for you.
yeah.
You should be thankful because not everybody has that. Some people have to push themselves. You know what I mean? And that's what we need more of. Win, win, win. When I got in the podcast, the Launcher Podcast Challenge with David Shands,
Hmm.
he said, I want everybody right here to set a date. And he was realistic. He said, most podcasters don't get past the sixth episode number 6. He said, most podcasts that fail and that stop, they stop by episode 6. He was like, set a date, get started. He's like, and don't stop. He said, how many times have you started something and stopped it? He said, continue and finish. So now I'm thinking about college. I'm like, I did drop out of college. Thinking about all the jobs that I've quit. You know what I mean? But then I also realized that I made shifts around my jobs pertaining to the value that it gave to me and I gave to the job. I was working at home for 3 years before this whole quarantine and pandemic.
Hmm.
Everybody used to be like, "Oh my God, how are you able to discipline yourself to work at home?" I wouldn't be able to concentrate. I said it's the same way. If I can concentrate away from my home for 8 hours a day, I can concentrate in my own home without any distraction. And I did that, and I loved it. I worked for Apple for 3 years, and I learned so much from Apple working at that job. And it was a test to me. I said, if I'm able to do this, and I did it for three years,
All right, I have a question for you,
I was like,
barbecue.
I can work for myself.
Somebody asking, what does barbecue stand for?
What does barbecue stand for?
Yeah, I think she's referring it for you. What does your show stand for?
So barbecue, if you're talking about the whole thing, Barbecue Talk Podcast, it's just a concept. It's the gathering of people by way of conversation. When you go to a barbecue, you engage in conversation. So it's just changing the way that we engage in conversation as a melanated community, but just as a whole community as whole, not even just melanated people. Um, you know what I mean? Just connecting divine human beings in a divine manner, having healthy, positive, intellectual conversation. But as I see, I think of food. Yeah, I love it. I love that people think of food, because when you think of food, you think about gathering. You think food brings people together. So when the full vision is able to be when the full vision is actually able to play out, I'm actually going to be barbecuing. If you go to the Barbecue Talk Podcast Instagram, if you go down, I think it was like the third or fourth episode, where I was actually barbecuing and the cop showed up. Actually, like that
Ouch.
really happened. No, I mean it wasn't a bad thing. It
Yeah.
was actually amazing that it happened, because I actually got to showcase to people that you can actually have a positive interaction with the police. And I did. We had a very positive interaction, and I was very understanding of what they were saying. And we were barbecuing on. I was barbecuing on set, and that's what's gonna continue to happen. Even if I'm not barbecuing every time, I'm gonna start having it. So food for thought. Yeah, no, definitely food for thought. So like that's another thing. It's just using a concept to have it. So the conversation is really the barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
So not so much focus on the food, but I can't wait to be able to barbecue. So it's not just food. No, it's not just food. No, it's not food at all. The conversation is the food. I want you to come in either bringing some food for thought, or I want you to be left with your mind and soul and spirit filled up. And so they have something to digest. And hopefully it's something that you are digesting and able to digest and leave away fulfilled. I want you to leave fulfilled. When you come to the Barbecue Talk Podcast, I want you to leave fulfilled. The best part about all this is seeing my friends come together, Barbecue Talk and my friend Rastastocks and White Shadow. I love this. Yeah, I love it. Because at one point in time, we wouldn't be able to do this. I would only be able
Exactly.
to meet up with these people if I knew them in real world time. So, I love this space. And I meet a lot
Exactly.
of different
Thank
people.
you. Yes, that means a lot. That means a lot. That means a lot right there, you know? It means a lot. And it's like it's like it's like, bro, I look at this, right? You could have said no. You know what I mean? You could have said no to this. So like I'm great. I'm grateful that you took the time out of your busy schedule, and I know that you're very busy, bro. You know what I mean? And you say, you know what? I'm gonna do this. You know, I'm gonna do it. Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it, bro. And I appreciate that. I
True,
appreciate it because
true,
a lot of people don't understand how important time is. You have a good understanding on how time is. I have a good understanding how time is, right? But not everybody else have a good understanding of how important time is. You know, but at the same time, we can't let it bother us. We just gotta keep keep pushing and moving forward because once they see we keep pushing and moving forward and we keep dropping consistency after consistency after consistency after consistency, then they'll understand how important time is. You know, because time waits for no man or woman or child.
fact,
Yeah.
fact, fact. Yeah, and we go live every week, every day, 6 days a week.
Mm,
Typically 6 days a week. If I can, 7 days a week. One day, I'll come to the States for a barbecue. Yeah, most definitely, Nancy. Anytime you want to pull up to the barbecue. Before that, if you want to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or whatever the case may be, Instagram will go live on Instagram every night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But yeah, we go live. If you're not able to catch the lives, then you can catch the replays. Or you can follow us on Apple, Spotify, Google, or www.barbecuetalkpodcast.com. And then, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I already follow Aries, baby, and Black and Proud J&M. They actually have been on the Barbecue Talk podcast. They were able to promote. And that's one thing that I love about my platform. I want people to come and be able to promote what they have going on because, someone, every opportunity to be able to promote your business is a great opportunity. So I want to be able to grant anybody that understanding to. I want everybody to have that opportunity to promote their business. You know what I mean? because not all platforms let you promote your business, and everybody nowadays is looking for a dollar. Well, how much am I? And I don't gain anything from it. I want to see other people eat. I already know everything's gonna come in due time for me. Everything's already happening for me, so I'm good. Good to see you both trying to educate our community on the importance of investment. I will continue to follow. Yeah, yeah, it's
Thank
definitely,
you.
and the biggest investments we can make is investing not only your money but your time. Time is the biggest investment that you can make.
Absolutely.
Uh, and I'm very grateful, and I feel honored that you even asked me to come to be interviewed, that you even find me interesting. I could have did this, and I could still have zero people following me. I could have zero people watching.
Yeah,
I
brother.
can't.
Me the same, bro. Because it's in me, bro. The conversations that we have. If I were to have a conversation with a regular person that I know that they're like take out their phone and start looking down in their phone and looking up and I mean, like, I can't have normal conversation with people I know like this because they'll be very uninterested, you know what I mean? And they look at me like, what the hell am I talking about? You know what I mean? What the hell am I talking about? They don't know. It's foreign to them. They don't know. They don't understand.
True. I think it's the presentation. It's
All
the
right.
presentation and
Will
articulation.
do. Yes. You know what I mean? So I just feel like that in this world there are people that are for you. There are people that are not so much for you, right? And there are also people that at least willing to listen, you know. But you gotta appreciate them all, regardless. Why? At
Facts.
least they stop by, take the time out to listen to what you have to say, and whatever you listen to what they have to say, maybe somewhere down the line they're like, "Hey, remember that time you told me about this? Yeah, I'm ready now." Maybe because back then I wasn't ready, I didn't understand it. I need to do my own research. I'm ready now because I had people come to me months after what I mentioned something to them. I said, "Yo, can you still show me how to do this? Can you still show me how to do that? How's it gonna cost?" I said, "How much is it gonna cost?" I said, "Nothing. It's not gonna cost me nothing. I'm just doing it so you can educate yourself, right? Educate yourself and those who are around you, and so on 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 and so on. Because without educating yourself, how would you know?
Mm. True.
How would you know?"
True. True. I agree with that 100%. And making sure that you're okay with having people that are better around you.
Exactly.
I don't like being the most intelligent person in my circle. I like being around the most intelligent people. That's my personal perspective. I'm not gonna lie. I will honestly ask somebody, what can I do to add value to you,
Exactly.
just so I can be close to them. And every job, I was close to management
Mm,
because I knew the position I wanted to be in my life at one point in time.
exactly. Exactly, bro. Exactly. Because I say this, right? If my show flops, right? Or no one want to tune in. It's not going to stop me from coming each and every time. You know what I mean? And just talk about something that 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 needs to be known. I'm going to consistently push it out. Push it out. You know why I'm going to consistently push it out? Because people need to know this, right? They need to learn for themselves, right? They need to take up their smart devices, their laptops, their tablets, whatever, and research what they need to research, right? Because
Sure.
knowledge is free if you really look at it.
Nowadays, yeah.
If you really look at it, knowledge is free. You going to college learning all of this, you paying them. They're charging you. any amount of money they want to charge you for knowledge,
Right.
right? And by the time you achieve all of this, you achieve all of that, you're in so much in debt. Then a person who is self-taught, he's not in debt. They're doing better off, more better off than you, right?
Right.
More
Okay.
better off. Like I said, we're not knocking anybody that believes in education, believes in going to college. But remember, an idiot could outsmart a genius any day as long as the idiot has a plan. And those are not my words. Words of Warren Buffett.
True.
Mm-hmm.
True. True.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome in. Welcome in. Yeah. No. True. You're 100% right. I feel 100% with that. Now, I'm gonna say something to you because you've talked about it, right? You talked about real estate, right? I'm gonna be very honest. Reason why people should take the opportunity to find spaces um, on the internet and in the digital spaces because uh, all of this is a form of digital real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
I purchased my domain for Barbecue Talk Podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
BarbecueTalkPodcast.com. I purchased the domain. I purchased it for a very low amount. Before I even put any content out, before I even had the website up, I built it or anything of that nature. It went from the price that I bought my domain for, which is a very low cost, very low cost, and it went to a high value, not like super high, but high enough because I'm like, I don't even have anything out. That's when I knew I was like, digital real estate is real. It went from this low cost that I bought it from to $1,000, and that was just me purchasing it. When I purchased it, it gained value of of
Mm-hmm.
$1,000. So just imagine 5, 10 years from now, we're staying consistent at what we're doing, your YouTube channel, .coms and things of that nature, and then someone wants to buy that from you. Or
Mm-hmm.
now you have an asset that you can sell it. At the end of the day, when you do pay for knowledge, they still gonna ask for experience. Yeah, experience. Yeah, you have to have knowledge, but you have to be willing to gain that experience. And that's the reason why I dropped out of college. I was having a conversation with my professor, and I was in business management. He said, "What do you want to do with your degree?" I was like, "Well, I want to own my own business one day." He said, "Well, experience is going to get you the best knowledge. You still need knowledge, but experience is going to be your second set of knowledge, and it's going to be your best kind of knowledge." He was like, "I'm not telling you what to do." He was just saying that this degree isn't going to grant you the opportunity to be an entrepreneur. You're only going to it's only that you actually going to experience it is going to give you the best kind of knowledge that you know.
Absolutely.
And he was like, "I'm not telling you to drop out. I'm not. You can still get your degree." But he asked me, he was like, "When do you think I got my degree?" I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "Did you get it and then own your business?" He was like, "No." He's like, "I dropped out." He's like, "And then I came back and got my degree after I had an established business." He was like, "Because I needed to learn more in my business." He was like, "But I had the opportunity because he didn't have to ask for days off anymore. He didn't have to. He didn't have to work. He was able to build his schedule according to him. He made his schedule according to him. So he
Mm-hmm.
took the classes on and off. You know what I mean?" He was like, "And I just needed to know certain things." He was like, and he was still going back and forth on going to take a class here and there, and then stopping and going to take another couple classes. He was like, "It took me a little bit longer to get my degree at the end." He was like, "But it was worth it." He's like, "But I'm an entrepreneur now." He's like, "And I own businesses, multiple businesses." And he told me there's a difference between owning a business and having others work your business for you, and you having to own your business and work your business. He said your goal should always to be the owner that doesn't have to work your business every day, and so you can have more time with your family. But then also you can be the owner that understands that family and time is important, and allow your employees the same opportunity. And I didn't know what he was talking about until I actually started getting into the entrepreneur space. And it's not the easiest road, but it's the most rewarding for me, and I feel for others because now everything that I touch, I want to own. because if I ever get into a bind, I have an asset that now I can sell. And I don't want and only because I'm doing podcasts and other things that I'm doing outside of this, when I have kids, when I finally sit down to have a kid or kids, I don't want them to feel as if they have to do what I did. And if anything, I'm giving you these assets, and so that you can take these assets and you can sell them, and you can use that money to fund whatever it is that you want to do.
Exactly.
But it's to guide them. And I'm gonna be very honest. If your kids if they're being raised by owners, they're gonna become an owner.
Exactly.
They're more likely to become an owner, I should say. And I met a lady not too long ago where she was telling me her story, and her father was working a job up until a point, and then he became an entrepreneur, an owner of his own business. And then in terms, she did the same thing. She worked for a little bit of time, and then now she's the owner of her own business, and she's been in business over 20 years. And she proved my point. I was like, and I told her, I was like, you just proved my point. I was like, yeah. I was like, you're gonna go in the way that you know to go. There's no knowledge really without experience. That's what I think. There's no knowledge without experience. You could read a book and you can learn things. It's knowledge without applying the knowledge is when it becomes an issue. So if I take my time to learn how to do something, but I don't apply it, I'm never going to gain the experience because I'm never trying to apply my knowledge.
Absolutely.
And that's where a lot of people mess up at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But the best life lessons come from experience.
True.
When I played sports, I could watch basketball all day, every day, but until I get on the court myself, I don't know what's going to happen until I actually get on the court.
Because you go on the court and you play ball yourself, you gain experience. You learn what you did wrong from what you did right.
Yeah, and you have to compete. You have to go in there and compete.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was like to. You don't know that. Like, you may feel as if that I'll never get crossed. Nobody ever crossed me until you start playing.
Cross. Listen, Allen Iverson crossed Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
crossed Michael Jordan. But Michael Jordan wasn't expecting that.
No, but Michael Jordan won the championship that year, and he didn't.
Yeah, I know. But listen, Michael Jordan learned something.
Yeah,
he learned something. He learned that he could be crossed, right?
Yeah.
Allen Iverson also learned that he crossed Michael Jordan. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and Allen Iverson learned that, hey, he lost, but he played against one of the greats, which is Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan did win the championship. But it's funny though. No matter how tall you are, you could still be crossed. You could still be crossed.
No matter how good of your defense is.
Yeah, you could still be crossed.
I'm gonna be very honest. If you get crossed, that means you're playing defense.
Yeah.
So that means you're trying. So it's like life. When you hit your lows and when you hit your downs, that means you're trying. You're living life.
Absolutely.
And trying matters. I don't like when people say that don't try, do. Well, trying is a part of doing. Because only because you're doing something doesn't mean you're doing it right. I know a lot of people that do a lot of things, they don't do it right.
Absolutely.
And who was it? I think it was Les Brown. Most recent quote that I got from Les Brown, which was amazing. He said, "Practice makes what?" And everybody yelled at perfect. And he said, "No, I want you to scratch that from your mental completely." He said, "Practice doesn't make perfect." He said, "What practice does is it makes improvements. It makes you better." Practice gives you the continuation of practicing improves you. It's a chance to improve every day. And I was just like, oh, okay, practice makes you better. Practice improves you. It doesn't make you, he's like, because you're never going to be perfect. He's like, but every day that you practice, you're practicing to be better. You know what I mean? So it's amazing. It's amazing.
It's
I love
amazing.
it.
It's amazing. So people, this conversation with me and Barbecue Podcast is going to come to an end. But I promise you this, right? That I will ask Barbecue to come back. I'll ask him to come back. What I'm asking you to go follow Barbecue Podcast on his Instagram, you know, and anytime that he goes live, chime in and listen to what he has to say because this brother here is very, 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 very knowledgeable. And also, people, also, if you like what you heard on this live stream interview and Rastastocks YouTube channel, consider subscribing to Rastastocks YouTube channel. All right, and also follow me on IG as well. But Barbecue Podcast, thank you very much for giving me an hour and 25 minutes of your time today. And time is important. I appreciate you, my brother. So, people, tune in for the next episode of Rasta Stocks, where we have a new guest each and every time. And also, I'm pretty sure that Barbecue Podcast will be back. I'm pretty sure.
Most definitely.
Most
Anytime.
definitely. My brother,
Anytime.
peace.
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 All right. Blessings.
Blessings. Blessings.